Have you thought about those times where maybe you're getting into a new business or a new relationship or anything that's new, that's different, that you're transitioning from one thing to another? Have you ever been in the spot where you don't fully let go of the other thing? Imagine this for a second. Wouldn't it be a beautiful thing to have a space to be open and vulnerable and working through our failures together, trying to figure out what of 1.0 we want to get rid of in order to move to 2.0 or 3.0 or 56.0? Wouldn't that be a beautiful space?
Welcome to the Derelict Podcast for the disparaged, depleted, and delinquent souls trying to find our way. We're talking about the scary part of the journey where we don't know how it'll end. Let's be free to face our fucking failures in real time as the most unadulterated, truest version of who we are. No sugarcoating. Welcome to the shit show, you derelict.
Welcome, everyone. It's so great to have you here in my new comfy studio. I really like it in here. It's so intimate and fun. I'm so glad it's done. Complete, working. Wow, who knew technical details were so hard to figure out for a simple podcast? I swear. Well, they are. If you're thinking of starting one, please send me a message first. I can definitely help you prevent a lot of mistakes. Anyway, welcome. So glad you're here. Really looking forward to today's episode. So what are we going to talk about today, Josh? Well, here's the deal. I'm 40. I turned 40 a few months back. I've referenced it on previous podcasts, and since then I've already failed launching a podcast with a buddy. Be sure to listen to that one. Episode 8, if you haven't already, it's a doozy. My health has been falling apart. There's been multiple things, anything from my teeth to knee to various other things. And obviously I'm being a little extreme, but it's as if my body knew I was turning 40. It's actually as if my body knew that I turned 40. And the list of failures I've even had over the past few months are amazing. And I actually mean that. They are amazing. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're here joining us on the Anti-Podcast. Let me explain. First, you might be wondering, what's this guy doing? Is he just having a midlife crisis and recording about it? Well, maybe. I mean, sort of. But it's more than that. I'm on a mission. I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and she was mentioning how she wanted to change the world in her 20s and 30s. And now she just wants to settle down, live a good life with a partner, and, just live the good life, which I totally respect and understand. But you know what? It made me realize that I am living an opposite life. Let me explain. So my 20s and 30s, I feel like we're all about living a settled life with a life partner, growing my family, my business, just living my life, doing my thing. Then all the failures came, mainly in my 30s. More on that later. But then all of a sudden I'm 39. I'm thinking about what do I want for the rest of my life? Thinking as I'm turning 40, what do I want my life to look like when I turn 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 or beyond? And you know what I realized? I realized that I want my 40s to be the decade I change the world. Do you feel that way? Not that you're necessarily in your 40s, but do you have passion for life right now? Have you given up? Have you become apathetic? Are you becoming more nihilistic as you age? Well, today might be the topic for you. Today we're talking about version 2.0 of ourselves. So here's the question that I would give you as we're launching into this topic. Are you ready for 2.0, or are you still hanging on to 1.0? Again, are you ready for 2.0, or are you still hanging on to 1.0? Or maybe you're already on 3.0, 4.0, 56.0. Either way, what's so difficult about letting go? Is it worth it to try to rebuild, repair, or reform 1.0, or is it better just to scratch it and just start over? Maybe you just let 1.0 die. What do you think? Well, let's explore this together. So today's topic is fuck that guy, let him die. Letting go of version 1.0 to make room for 2.0. Now, it could also be fuck that gal, let her die. There's no gender requirements required here. So, but before we get there, why talk about this? Why talk about 1.0 and 2.0? So that's why I started with me talking about turning 40 and jumping into this business, doing this podcast, because I feel like this is my 2.0, which I'm really excited about. But here's what I'd ask you. Ask yourself an honest question. Is there anything that you need to let go of? Is there anything you need to move on or towards? What do you need to let die? What do you need to move towards? I know there's something, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So welcome, you derelict. You are just like us. Okay. Well, I like to start a lot of these episodes with a failure. So my first question is, how have I failed lately regarding letting go of version 1.0 to make room for 2.0? Oh, let me count the ways. Let's see, where do I start? Well, things known always seem to appear less scary than the unknown, don't you think? So don't get me wrong. I am one who loves adventure. I love surprises, but only if it's in the category that I love adventure and surprises. Do you relate to that at all? So here's an example. If my buddy comes to me or my girlfriend or my kids or whoever, and they say, hey, we want to surprise you. We're going to do this fun thing. And I know them and I trust them and I know that they're not just setting me up for failure, then I'm stoked. Let's go. Let's do it. I don't care where it is. Let's go somewhere. If you're listening and you're one of my friends, plan something for me. I'm game. I will not be as high maintenance as you think I am, because if it's planned, I'm really excited about it. I love to adventure. I love to explore new things, especially if it's something that somebody thought of and they really put in the time to try to figure out, hey, this is something that I think Josh would like. Great. Let's do it. I mean, you actually plan something for us to do? That's amazing. I mean, don't you guys feel the same way? Like, what if you have somebody that you really care about, that you love, that you respect, etc., that's a good friend of yours, family member, etc., and they say, hey, we're going to go do this thing and we're planning it for you. Isn't that exciting for you? Now, maybe you don't like surprises, so you'd rather know what it is ahead of time. I get that. We're all different as far as surprises go. But if somebody's planning something for you, don't you think that that's sweet? I think it's epic. Let's go. So, however, though, if my buddy or my girlfriend or my kids or whatever tells me there's something that we need to talk about, and it's really important that I give them my full attention, and we need to discuss something that happened because they're feeling really uncomfortable, and it's something that I did, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm not so stoked about that. Or what about something more serious? Now, that being said, I'm really glad that they came to me, and I do want to have the conversation, but initially, I'm not stoked. I mean, are you? If that happens, if somebody came to you and they're like, hey, I want to talk to you about how you fucked up. Are you initially stoked to have that conversation? I'm not. Or what if it's something more serious, like a cancer diagnosis or a divorce or a surprise letter from the IRS or a lawsuit in the mail? Not sure about you, but I don't love those surprises, especially the ones that say that I'm going to have to pay more money or have to go to court or whatever else. So, what's my point? Where am I going with this? How have I failed lately regarding letting go of version 1.0? Well, I think I kind of just answered that. I'm often only comfortable letting go of the aspects of version 1.0 that I'm annoyed by, done with, sick of, ready to move on from, not the other ones. So let's talk about starting this podcast as a good example. It took me months of having conversations with my friend and then visioning and then revisioning and then thinking about what I want, thinking about my mission, etc. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on. But at the end of the day, I was still hesitant. And frankly, I didn't burn the ships. So we talked about that in a previous episode about burning the ships. And essentially the idea being, hey, are you so all into this concept that you burn the ship so you can't leave, right? That's how the old story goes. Now, I was informed by Tyler when we were saying that story the other day that that's actually not how it went. So it was really good to hear the conclusion to that story. But the bottom line is I didn't completely burn everything else off. I didn't destroy my other business to start this. I'm still doing my other business. I didn't get rid of all of my possessions, my business, my money. I didn't go all in on some huge bank loan or something to buy all the perfect equipment. and do everything just to make sure that I was 100% in this and just stop everything else in my life. I launched, but I still kept everything else going. It's still going. Now, is that a failure? I don't think that it is. I actually think it's smart for several reasons, but is it going to hinder my growth here? Maybe. Sure. Have you thought about those times where maybe you're getting into a new business or a new relationship or anything that's new, that's different, that you're transitioning from one thing to another? Have you ever been in the spot where you don't fully let go of the other thing? So a few examples I could think of in my life is a business. I've gone into new businesses and I haven't let go of the old business. Now, there's reasons for that sometimes, but sometimes the only reason I haven't let go of the other business is because of fear. I'm scared to. I don't want to. I don't think it's going to work, or I'm not confident enough in my own abilities. What about relationships? Have you ever done that? I definitely have. Guilty as charged, where I've started dating somebody, let's say, and I didn't really want to stop, communicating with the other person, or maybe I just wanted to leave them on Instagram, or maybe just every once in a while a text here or there because, I'm just checking in on them. I'm just making sure that they're okay. All the bullshit that I tell myself. Maybe I'm the only one. Maybe you guys don't do that ever. But think of an example right now, right? So wherever you are, just pause for a second and think of an example. Think of a time, and maybe it's right now, where there's something that you just haven't let go of. Or maybe you even know that you need to let go of it. So why do we not let go completely of everything else or something else? So for me, again, all areas of my life, the answer is the same. It's some sort of fear, insecurity, thinking that it's not going to work. Maybe I'm scared that if I let this one thing go, maybe the second thing won't work. If I burn the ships completely, what if I need ships? Do you relate? Do you relate to this? Are you a derelict like me? Is there something that you know is best for you to let go of? Again, just think about that in your soul right now as you say that. Like, is there something that I need to let go of? Is there something that I need to move from 1.0 to 2.0? Ask yourself that question. Immediately you should get an answer if there is one. Don't second guess it. Don't overanalyze it. Just ask that question. Is there something I need to let go of? Bam! What came to mind? Was it anything? And then ask, why can't you bring yourself to do it? Is it time to move on? Is it time to let something die? Well, again, this episode might be for you because that's what we're talking about. So thanks for listening so far. We'll dive in to some more details on this in a few moments. But before we do that, let's talk about why we even have this conversation. So if you ever feel like me, that you don't fit in or that you're not exactly sure how to evolve into version 2.0, welcome. You're a derelict. Have you ever felt outcast, abandoned, or left behind from society or your family or your friends or your church, religion, political party, work, school, or if you've ever felt that way, especially if you feel that way now, welcome to the fucking shit show. We're all just a bunch of derelicts here trying to find our way. Derelicts trying to learn how to be comfortable being derelicts. If you're listening to this podcast, we're in the same tribe. So before we even go any further, would you do me a huge favor? Would you go to the show notes right now? Don't wait until the end of this episode. Just send me an email. There's a button to send me an email. I want to hear from you. It'll already say what subject, which episode you're listening to. I want to know what you're going through. I want to know if you want to come on the show. If you want to come on the show, let me know. If you want to share a story on the show, let me know. Or if you just want someone to talk to, please let me know either way. I'm here for you. I love getting messages from you all because then I have other things to talk about in the show. This is how we also find guests for the show. So this is, frankly, and this is all I can think about it right now. I'm obsessed with building this community. I'm obsessed with this podcast and you guys, the tribe. And I hope you're going to come along for the ride. It's a small group right now, but it will get bigger. I know it. And I'm so incredibly grateful and proud that you're here right now. Thank you so much for listening. So anyway, moving on. Before we get to the main topic, who is this for? Who is a Derelict. Well, a derelict is defined in the dictionary as someone or something that is in a very poor condition as a result of disuse and neglect. It can also refer to someone who's shamefully negligent in performing a duty. It's from the Latin derelictus, which means abandoned. This often refers to a person abandoned by society, a vagrant or a bum, someone that's left behind, run down, describes someone that is lost, adrift, or wanting. In nautical terms, it refers to a boat or a vessel abandoned in open water by its crew without any hope or intention of returning. In other words, it's something or someone that has been abandoned or forsaken. Does any of that relate to you? You might be asking, why are you quoting all that on an episode talking about moving from 1.0 to 2.0? Here's the reason why. For myself, it wasn't until I felt some of those feelings, abandoned, forsaken, that I was outside of whatever club or group or box that I thought I was in. It wasn't until that moment when I felt outside of that box that I realized I was evolving to 2.0. Does that relate to you at all? For me, and maybe this is just me, but I have to learn the hard way. So there has to be something extreme happen for me then to want to move from 1.0 to 2.0. Does that relate to you, or do you just take lessons easily? Are you one of those people that just reads it in a book and you're good to go? If you are, good for you. I am not. That is definitely not my experience. I have to learn the hard way. Or maybe, honestly, maybe that language is too strong for you that I just read. Maybe you're like, well, I'm not abandoned. I'm not forsaken. That seems really extreme. So maybe you just resonate with some of it. Well, honestly, that's okay. Me too. But I definitely resonate with the main part, something that's abandoned. Because I know for myself, every time I'm ready to move to 2.0 from 1.0, it's abandoning a part of myself. And that is always difficult for me. Always. I have so much failure in this arena. It's not even funny. Because this is how I think of it, at least, through the various failures of my life, whether it be my marriage, multiple businesses, multiple relationships, religion, church, money. Whenever I have, quote, failed at something, I have felt abandoned. Again, at least by a certain number of the group. A certain number of people of the box, the group, the society, the club, etc. Even when I try to change my life for the better. Have you ever had that experience? So not everyone likes that, right? Not everyone likes you to change for the better. This doesn't necessarily mean things in your life have to be getting worse. This could mean things in your life are getting better and people still don't like it. And maybe they don't want to go along for the ride. From my experience, you tell me if you think this is true. From my experience, I think people are generally, or they generally tend to like what they're comfortable with. In other words, whatever the comfort is, I don't even necessarily mean it has to be comfortable. I just mean it's not change, right? Change is difficult for most of us. So in my experience, if you change anything up on them, it can cause confusion, difficulty, anxiety, fear, anger, or a multitude of other feelings, thoughts, and reactions. Do you agree? Well, so in a moment, we're going to come back to that and talk about how that affects us. And when we finally get to the point of being fed up with all the bullshit of 1.0. But before that, a word from our sponsors. This podcast is being sponsored by Johnny's Hemorrhoid Cream. Are you old? Do you have hemorrhoids? Are you tired of them? Would you trust Johnny with your children? If so, trust him with your butt. Johnny's Hemorrhoid Cream since 1969. And now back to the show. All right. Enough of those fake ads for now. Like me, fed up with all of the success bullshit like I am. I mean, honestly, I'm so done with it. I'm fed up with all the success stories, the podcasts, the movies, the books, the speeches, the business conferences, all of it. Are you? Do you ever get sick of that whole success bullshit everywhere, turning on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or the news or wherever, and just seeing it all in your face. The lonely woman posting photos in her bikini to get validation from people that honestly don't give a shit about her, but she has 100,000 followers. So, she must be successful, right? And she goes to all these beautiful places and she must just be enjoying her life. Maybe it's the lonely guy posting all his travel photos in Dubai or wherever all over the world saying, you can do this too, just come buy my program. He must be successful too, right? I mean, look at all those nice suits that he's wearing and the cars and the vacations. Or is he just as lonely as the woman trying to get people to talk to? Maybe it's the mom or the grandma posting all over Facebook to try and, quote, connect with people when she has so few friends herself in real life that she can talk to, that she can really be vulnerable with. But she has thousands of friends online and all of her pictures look perfect. The right outfit, the right smile, the right neighborhood. Or the business owner standing on a podium after they sold their business for $5 billion. That person must be happy and successful, right? Because we all know money definitely buys happiness. I'm sure they have it all figured out. But you know what? What's been my experience, at least, when I meet these people? If you get a moment of honesty and clarity and vulnerability from them or from myself, I'm not just pointing out them, most of it is bullshit. Have you experienced this? Have you ever really talked to any people like that? If you really talk to them, they're just as insecure as any of the rest of us. And I'm not saying they don't talk about their failures. They do. Maybe they even talk about their failures often. But from my experience, at least on an online setting or a podcast setting or a movie setting or whatever, it seems like the only time they talk about their failures is after they know how it's all going to end up. After the success. Think of movies. Movies are classic for this. Usually a good story usually starts with somebody doing well, something is going right, then there is this crisis and something occurs, and then the person has to either rise above it or whatever else. And for the most part, it's a very simple formula. Life is going pretty well, crisis, life turns to shit, work through the crisis, have courage, and then everything's okay in the end. A pretty normal, standard plot line of stories, movies, etc. I know not all of them, but most of them, right? Well, why do we like those stories? Because when we're in the middle of that failure or that fear or that unsuccess, if you will, we really want to have high hopes that there's going to be success at the end. Eventually, this is all going to work out, right? Why else am I watching this movie? It's going to be okay eventually, right? For that person, I sure hope so. Frankly, it's easier talking about failure after success, isn't it? I mean, honestly, like as of right now, I would not call this podcast a quote success, at least not where I want it to be. And that's okay because I'm literally in the middle of failing. I'm in the middle, or said another way, it's not necessarily failing. It's more of just being in the process and being okay without having a bunch of success already. Because once you get the success, isn't it so much easier to talk about it? I mean, why is that the only thing we post on social media? Some sort of success. Here's the travel that I did. Here's my beautiful family. Here's the great job promotion that I got, etc. Just, virtue signaling all the time. Because once I've gotten past the hard stuff, it's more comfortable for me to talk about the hard stuff. Do you relate? Is this just me? I mean, why would I mind doing that? In other words, I'm completely fine talking about the success once I've already gotten there, or talking about the failure once I've already gotten that success. Let's be, quote, vulnerable now that we've made it, right? But here's the thing, and I'm hoping you're like me. I'm hoping that's why you're here, and I'm hoping that's why you're listening to this podcast, this episode, and I hope that you're a part of our community. Again, go like and subscribe. Become a part of the tribe. I want this Derelict tribe to grow. Why, though? Because from my experience, at least, when I hear that person get up there and talk about that success story, oftentimes it doesn't help me, because if I can't relate to where they are right now, it's really hard for me to relate to what I'm going through. If I'm seeing this person up on the podium sell their business for billions of dollars and they have what looks like a successful marriage and family and business and all the money in the world that they need to ever worry about, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If I'm struggling and I'm struggling with my marriage or I'm struggling with my job or I'm struggling with my children, frankly, I don't know. There's a part of that that motivates me, at least a little part. A little part of it motivates me because I'm like, okay, good. Well, they figured it out, so maybe I can. But honestly, I don't know about you, but I enjoy inspiring stories. I enjoy people getting through hardships, and I enjoy people coming out the other side. Frankly, I think that that's the human experience, and I'm human. So I do enjoy that. So I'm good. Bring it on, right? I bet you like that too. But, and frankly, this is a big, juicy but. For me, it's only a little inspiring. Or said another way, it's inspiring for about 5 minutes before I start second guessing myself, before I start wondering, well, how do I deal with the failures that I'm experiencing right now, real time? Who do I talk to about that? Before I realize that the quote 3-step formula to success that they gave me just isn't working. And maybe it won't work for me. And then I feel shame and I feel disappointment. And honestly, it makes me feel worse. I feel worse about my progress. I wonder, why haven't I sold my company for $5 billion? Why do I not have the perfect marriage? Why do I not have the perfect children? Why am I so far away from that? I'm really good at my business. I'm really good as a friend. I'm really good as a dad. Why hasn't this happened to me? Self-doubt sets in, shame sets in, insecurity sets in. And then often I feel worse. Maybe it's just me. Maybe you guys have never felt that way. But if you have and you relate, shoot me a note. I'd love to hear about it. Let's just pause for a second. Let me make sure that I'm really clear about something as well. Is this the speaker's fault or the movie's fault or anyone else? Absolutely not. So don't hear me wrong here. Let's not blame whoever this is for us feeling that way. We can't blame anyone for our feelings. We have to take responsibility for our own feelings. I'm not trying to gaslight here. I'm not blaming anyone but myself. However, for me, I've just found this not to be super helpful long term. So let me ask you this. If you've done any of the things that I just mentioned, again, this is letting go of 1.0. That's where we're at right now. We're talking about, how do I let go of the stuff that I want to let go? So think again. Think in your mind, what do I want to let go of? Think about it. Get something in your mind that you want to get rid of, okay? How do we do this? Well, first, why do we do this? In other words, why is it so hard to talk about failure in the midst of it, or to talk about going through a process before there's been success? Well, I'm doing it right now, but I'm just doing it to a microphone. And there's video as well for social media and everything else that I use video for. But I'm just doing it to a microphone. I don't even know who's listening to this right now. You're listening to this, and I appreciate you being on this journey with me. But there is a little part of me that's like, yeah, this is easier because I'm just talking to a microphone. So what vulnerability is that? There's not a person right in front of me with their face, and then I have to tell them about my failure, until I start thinking about the fact that lots of people listen to this. And now, actually, there's a lot more listening to my failure than if I was just across the room from a friend. So I don't know about you, but for me, failure is really hard to talk about in the process because I don't know if I want to be that vulnerable yet, because I don't know if it's going to work. Just like this podcast. I don't know if this podcast is going to work. It's working so far. I've gotten really great feedback. Thank you to all of you that have given us great feedback here. But I'm trying. I'm making a stab at it. We'll see how it goes. And I'm fully committed to this. You want to know why? Because I want a space for this. Now just imagine this for a second. Wouldn't it be a beautiful thing to have a space to be open and vulnerable and working through our failures together, trying to figure out what of 1.0 we want to get rid of in order to move to 2.0 or 3.0 or 56.0? Wouldn't that be a beautiful space? My vision here is to create a space, a tribe of people open to discussing their failures real time, in process, while it's happening. Now, you might say, well, that sounds really scary. I'm not sure if I'm ready for that. Great. Take a small step, whatever it is. Maybe just give somebody a call and say, hey, I just heard this podcast and I want to just tell you about something that I've been not wanting to talk about for a while. That's a great first step. Shoot us an email. It goes directly to me right now. I will respond directly to you. I respond to all messages that I receive. I will send you a message back. I'd love to hear from you. Now, here's the deal. Before we go any further, you might wonder, well, is this podcast or just in general, if I do this, is that just for losers? We talk about failure a lot, and we talk about being in process a lot. Is this just for people that have never found any success or just fail at all areas of their lives? There's somebody that we look at and we're like, yeah, I never want to be like that person. So no wonder I don't talk about failure, because I don't want to be like that failure. Well, first of all, I'd have a hard time describing anybody like that. And if you are describing somebody like that, I would consider if there are any other triggers or traumas, etc., in your mind or your heart or your soul that's having you do that. Maybe you're just upset with them or that type of person, etc. I don't know. Think about that. But for me, I think much of the reason is because of insecurities and limiting beliefs. Now, we're all about that here. We're all about securities and limiting beliefs. You want to know why? Because we all have them. But you want to know something that I find really interesting? Some of the most quote unquote successful people I know, and I say that in quotes because let's just talk about people who society would view as quote successful, AKA lots of money, a perfect family, fame, whatever. Obviously there's no perfect family. Obviously money doesn't make, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I get that. But let's just say whatever society would view as somebody as successful. Money, family, fame, friends, impact, etc. Most of these successful, quote unquote, people I've met, frankly, are also some of the most insecure. Have you ever experienced this? Now, I have a theory as to why I think that is. I've been in sales pretty much all of my life as far as my normal career goes. And there's a joke among a lot of salespeople that the most insecure people you'll ever meet are the top salespeople. Why is that? Well, my theory with salespeople is because unless there's that insecurity driving you to do better and better and better and better because you're constantly trying to live up to these unrealistic standards that you have for yourself, then you're not going to maybe drive as hard. Some people will, but most people won't. But that insecurity is what gets people to drive. Have you ever met that business person that has such an insecurity about what they're doing that they just go harder and harder and harder and harder and harder? Have you met that insecure person in relationships that just try harder and harder and harder and harder to make these relationships work because they just don't think that they are quite good enough? I don't know if you've ever met those people, but frankly, if you haven't, here's the good news. You just met one. Welcome. I'm one of those people. I've had plenty of those experiences in my life. None of us have those experiences 100% of the time, but I've had plenty of those experiences in my life where I felt so incredibly insecure about something that I just had to do better to try to make myself feel more secure. And my experiences, again, some of the most successful people I've ever met have some of the biggest limiting beliefs. Now, if you're listening to this and barely able to scrape by financially or with your family or friends, or there's something else where you're just feeling like a failure, you might not believe me, honestly, but trust me, when we're talking about money, let's talk about money for a second here. I've been in the finance industry my entire adult life. It's pretty much the only work I've done. And I've seen thousands of balance sheets in my life. And I can tell you with certainty, for myself and other people that I've talked to in the industry that have done the exact same thing, the bigger the balance sheet, often the more insecure the person. Going back to what I talked about before, this need to prove myself. I have to get bigger and better and more wonderful so that people love me. You ever feel that way? You ever feel like somebody's not going to love you unless you do something certain to, I'm not saying buy their love, but just unless I do this, people aren't going to love me. People aren't going to accept me. So let's pause here for a second. Here's what I would ask you. And I'm happy to share as well. That's the whole point of this podcast. But just, again, close your eyes for a second if you can, if you're in a spot where you can close your eyes, and just think to yourself, what are my limiting beliefs? What's holding me back? Is there something that I really want to make sure that I do, but I'm holding on to 1.0? I'm just not able to get to 2.0 yet. What is that? Is there a limiting belief you can think of? What limiting belief is there? So again, for me, I'll just use the example of this podcast. For me, one of my limiting beliefs when I launched this podcast was I've never done a podcast before. I don't know the first thing about podcasting. I don't know what equipment to get. I don't know what programs to use. I don't even know how to get it onto the podcast places. And then how do I promote it? And how do I advertise it? And how do I get subscribers? And then if eventually like I want to make money from it, how do I get advertisers and do all that? Oh man, it's overwhelming if you think about it. You ever been there? Maybe it's a new business or a new venture that you want to explore and you just don't even know where to start. So for me, sometimes limiting beliefs just come from being overwhelmed and just not even knowing what is even the first step that I take. I've had many limiting beliefs in relationships in the past where I've had a certain experience with one person. Let's say I had a girlfriend that acted this way, or a partner that acted this way. And then guess what? I take that into the new relationship, even if I don't want to. And in that new relationship, surprise, surprise, a lot of the same stuff pops up because I haven't actually dealt with it, or because I don't really believe it can be different. For more on relationships, feel free to listen to one of the failure in dating podcasts that we've done already. Those are a good start. Or frankly, you could listen to one of the parenting ones as well. We did 2 dating ones and 3 parenting ones so far. And those are all about failing in relationships, whether with your children or significant other, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, etc. So those are some of my limiting beliefs. What are some of my other limiting beliefs? I mean, I often have limiting beliefs about my children, not about them, more about me. Am I a competent father? Am I able to do what I need to do for them? Am I able to give them what they need from me? Me just sitting around thinking, oh, I'm just not good enough. I don't know how to do this enough. When my kids are with me, it's just me. I don't have another partner to help me with those. And how could I ever figure that out by myself, right? All these limiting beliefs. So I want to remind you of something that Tyler and I talked about a long time ago on one of the first podcasts, if not the first one. It might have been even the first podcast that we launched, not the Why podcast, but maybe episode number 2. I'm not exactly sure. But one of the books and concepts we talked about was The Gap and the Gain. And the whole concept there is, what are you focused on? Are you focused on where you haven't gotten yet? Or are you focused on where you already have gotten? In other words, am I being grateful for what I've already done, accomplished, figured out? Or am I only focusing on, well, I'm lacking this, I don't have this, etc.? I think a lot of limiting beliefs and insecurities come from thinking that we aren't where we want to be for whatever reason. Money, time, energy, health, relationships, etc. I'm not where I want to be. I just can't get there. I'm insecure because I feel like I should be there already. How is it that my buddy is doing the exact same thing that I'm doing, and he sold his company for X number of dollars and I can't do that? How is it that my other friend is in this lasting, long, amazing relationship and I can't figure that out? How is it that my other friend is such a better dad or mom and they seem to have so much better relationship with their kids. How is it that my neighbor can afford that brand new $80,000 truck and I can barely afford to put gas in my 30-year-old car? Whatever it is. None of those are my examples, but I relate to them. Do you relate to them? What's your example? Where is the insecurity coming from? In order to live content, we have to be content. In other words, we have to be okay with whatever life is handing us right now. Otherwise, we'll never be content. We'll always be disappointed. There will always be insecurities. Because guess what? There's always somebody richer, more powerful, more beautiful. I almost said more smarter, more intelligent, more artistic, more talented, whatever it is. Always, always. So instead of our insecurities, how about we focus on our securities? Because what helps insecurities grow? Or how do we then transition from 1.0 to 2.0? That's what we're going to be talking about next episode. I really hope you join us next week. It has been an honor and a privilege to be here with you today, as always. Oh man, great show. It's really got me thinking about a few things. I hope you as well. So today we talked about letting go of version 1.0. How do we get rid of it? How do we even know when it's time to let go of version 1.0? When does it make sense to rebuild or to reform or to redo versus let it go, let it die, let it go away so that version 2.0 is here and it's here to stay? That's what we're going to be talking about next episode. I really hope you join us next week. We decided to split this into 2 podcast episodes because there was so much content. We just couldn't get it all into one recording. So today, I appreciate you being on the journey with us, talking about letting go of 1.0, talking about how we failed recently, how I failed recently. As always, you'll hear that on every single episode. So welcome. If you'd like to hear more about how I or other hosts, guests, etc. have failed, please check out previous episodes. We just have discussed parenting, dating, staying present, staying emotionally present, and several other topics at this point. We explored what being a derelict was all about. Thank you for letting me spend a few minutes on that today. Are you a derelict like me? I hope so. I hope that's why you're here. I hope you're here because you're so tired and fed up with all the success bullshit out there. Even the success bullshit that comes across as, quote, failure. There's plenty of failure things out there that really are still just promoting success. But how do we deal with failure real time when success isn't guaranteed? To me, that's being a derelict. It's being the outcast or being the different person in society that actually wants to deal with failure, deal with all the hard stuff as I'm going through it. And I hope that that's why you're here with us as well. We talked a lot about insecurities and limiting beliefs. Goodness, there's so many resources for that. Again, one of the ones we reference that's in the show notes is The Gap and the Gain. It's just a great book talking about what your focus is. Where is your focus? It's really hard. What I've found, it's really hard to have limiting beliefs and insecurities if the focus is on where I've gained in my life. Obviously, another big push for Tony Robbins. Love the guy. Love pretty much everything he produces. He's got some really great stuff on limiting beliefs. We'll look up and see if we can add something to the resources for that as well. But most importantly, thank you. Thank you for being here. Will you please do me a favor? Please rate and review the podcast. We have several great ratings already. We really appreciate it. Keep them coming. And for this community to grow, please share this with someone. Share this with anybody that when you're listening to this, you're like, wow, that person really is either in transition, trying to figure out how to go from 1.0 to 2.0, or they've maybe just feeling like a failure at business or their marriage or friendships or parenting or whatever, pick an episode, maybe this one, and share that with them. Maybe they are a derelict that would like to join this community as well. The more people that we get to join, the more powerful resources we can present to you. And again, check out our website, check out the show notes for additional pieces, and we'd love to hear from you. Shoot us an email. Email us about what you thought about the episode. Email us anything. Email us an insecurity or limiting belief that you're having, or the transition that you're going through from 1.0 to 2.0. Whatever it is, we'd love to hear from you. Every single message that I get is so honoring. And guess what? You will hear directly from me. I'm not going to send that to a virtual assistant or to, a non-virtual assistant or to AI. You're going to hear directly from me. So if you want to hear directly from me and you'd like to be a part of this community, please shoot us an email. We'd love to have you. So again, thank you so much for joining. Check out the resources. Please rate, please review, please follow. Be a part of this community. Be a part of this tribe. I am so looking forward to next week, where we talk about version 2.0 and what that looks like. It's going to be a great podcast, so stay tuned. Again, thank you for being here. And until next week, see you later, you derelict.